Hello and welcome to Africa 54. I'm Joke Rogers at Channel Television here in Lagos. I'm joined by Esther Gitui-Ewert at the Voice of America in Washington.
Thanks. I'm Esther Gitui-Ewert at our global headquarters in Washington, D.C. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with a look at promoting Nigerian indigenous languages. Joke Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
That's right. Stakeholders in the education sector are lamenting the decline in the use of Nigerian indigenous languages, especially among the younger generation. At a workshop organized by the Association of International Language Educators at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Osun State, participants stressed the importance of preserving indigenous languages. Channel Television's correspondent Shitu Abdul-Fatai compiles this report.
It's a gathering of intellectuals, students and other members of society at the Obafemi Awolowo University in Osun State for a discussion on the importance of indigenous languages.
If you really want to speak English, yes, you speak English. You want to speak Yoruba, you speak Yoruba. And if you want to punctuate with English, it's okay. But it should be possible for you, for example, to speak Yoruba language without punctuating with English language if you want to do so. But it's becoming impossible, because English is already taking over.
Participants at the event lament the decline in the use of native languages.
Not only do we have many languages, which is not in itself bad, it is, how we plan for these languages in terms of learning, in terms of use, that has brought about a lot of confusion, and it has affected us adversely. So we are neither good in our mother tongue nor in the foreign languages.
Whatever you are teaching, was it language, literature, using the language to understand other subjects, the digital resources can be of help. And so for the teacher, what matters is not that the digital technology is there, but your mastery of it and your capacity to deploy the digital technologies for today's improved teaching and learning, including language.
There is a consensus that indigenous languages need to be preserved and handed down to the younger generations in order to better foster unity and cohesion in a multicultural nation like Nigeria.
Let's get more on harnessing the power of language at the national level and beyond. And for this, we're joined by Professor Adeojo, the Pioneer Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria French Language Village, Badagry. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much.
How would you assess the impact of Nigeria's indigenous language policy given the multilingual nature of the country?
Well, I don't think we have any national language policy. We don't have any. I'm not quite sure if there's any. But I know that there is in the national policy of education a statement made in 1998, which says, government appreciates the importance of language as a means of promoting social interaction and national cohesion and preserving cultures. Thus, every child shall learn the language of the immediate environment. That is what is in the system. And it does further add, in the interest of national unity, it is expedient that every child shall be required to learn one of the three Nigerian languages, which are Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So that's the only statement that I have. I'm not quite sure that there's any. If there's any, then it has not been very strongly emphasized and publicized.
Apart from the deliberate policies by the government, what other ways can indigenous language be promoted such that it fosters the much-needed unity and cohesion?
Well, there should be, the policy must be made formal. It should be entrenched in the Constitution, meaning therefore that you have a legal backing. Then I think there's a need to allow it to have a very strong administrative support, meaning therefore that we may want to establish a Nigerian Indigenous Language Academy that will be charged with supervising the teaching, the use of that language, and that will also ensure that whatever activities that have to be carried out on the policy would be formally supported in a very legalistic way. Then we may want to also look at the possibility of getting our children to fully work on the policy, on the national policy on education, which is to ensure that every child going through the school system should learn not only his own language, but the language of the neighbor. Meaning, therefore, that at the end of it all, a Nigerian living the primary or secondary school should be able to speak two Nigerian languages. And with that, there might be, a very, very strong orientation that may eventually enable us to entrench the system in our Nigerian, way of doing things.
So let's broaden this a little, Professor, and look beyond Nigeria and looking at West Africa now, the number of Anglophone and Francophone countries. What role can the French language play in regional integration?
Well, you know that there are 16 countries in West Africa. 11 of them are Anglophone, only 5 are Francophone. We also know that the population of West Africa is around 389, of which Nigeria carries about 180 of it. So in a way, there are invariably, as many number of Anglophone as Francophone. But see, in order for us to be able to allow the international languages to make any impact, the best policy is to ensure that every West African citizen speaks the two languages. So it's not actually expecting that French will have a stronger impact than the other. The two are very useful. Not only useful within Africa, because those are the two major colonial languages, but even in terms of being able to move beyond Africa, these are languages that dominate the whole of the world. We in our own case in Nigeria, we may want to look at our policy of the teaching of French to start with. By the time we are able to implement a policy that is very, very strongly supported with everything that is necessary, Nigeria would be able to move across to Africa with, English and French, to be able to actually control almost everything within the West African sub-region.
Professor Adiojo, the pioneer DG and CEO of Nigeria French Language Village in Badagry.